from Texas, Ms. Garcia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all the witnesses. I want to do some follow-up to the questions that Mr. Torres was asking with you, Mr. Del Ponte. You know, the crypto industry has always boasted about the easier access and the savings of using crypto or stable coins in lieu of remittances, and they talk about all these prices, but the reality is, do we have that many migrants using crypto or stable coins to transmit remittances?
There are thank you for the question so much. The use of remittances, the use of stable coins broadly for remittances or for other type of payments is still on the early stages. The vast majority of the use case for stable coins today, where stable coins have been adopted, is mostly on crypto and trading markets. We see some early stages in which both consumers and businesses are using that for cross-border P2P, P2P payments or for business-to-business payments, but it's still in very early
What
stage.
% of remittances today do you think are used or being transmitted through with crypto or stable coins?
I don't have data for that, but my best estimate would be that it's going to be in the low single digits. It's still a very small amount.
It's very small, right? Because frankly, at least when I still remember the first hearing we had on this topic, and I questioned the witness at the time, and he too could not give me a single instant where it's said and done, because it's a practical matter. Yes, it may be easier to transmit, but the receiving party has to have the capacity to receive it. It's not something you can just go to the market and buy your milk. Likewise, do you have any data on the breakdown by income of the buyer, customer, consumer, the investor that does use stablecoin or does invest in stablecoin or crypto?
I don't know that we have that data, but I can consult with our team.
Well, again, it's a question that I've been asking now, it seems like for 5 years, and no one seems to be able to answer that question. Even some of these working groups that are put together and experts come, and you all like to talk about how inclusive this can be and that this will help the unbanked, and it's laudable goals. But the reality is, unless you're really very rich, you're not doing any of this. And the average American just seems to be overwhelmed with this discussion that they don't really even understand what we're talking about. That I think it's going to be really hard for us to get past some of those hurdles. And when you talk about the underbanked, those with limited English proficiency, I think there's a lot of dubious people about what this really means. We know cash. Cash is king. And we really don't want, at least in my district, anybody competing with the US dollar. And I think there's a big hurdle here that we have to use, but we also got to make sure that whatever we're doing, that we do have a framework to protect the consumer, and that we can make sure that they also have a remedies for justice if they get scammed, as Ms. Presley mentioned. So, Mr. Massey, do you think the government-wide mandate to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts will change the crypto industry in the long run?
That's a good question, Congresswoman. I'm sure it will. I think it's very unfortunate to eliminate these programs entirely, even if you can find examples of how they've been used that you think are an overreach. The notion that we should eliminate these things, I think, is not good policy. Again,
well, it's part of the branding of this industry from the beginning. And as I said, you know, we'll be there for the unbanked, for the poor person, to send a remittance for everybody. We'll include everybody. We're not going to be like the banks.
Well, no, I agree with you that the industry likes to talk about inclusion. I don't think we've seen that much of that. And to your question about stablecoins, who's using them for remittances and so forth, you know, we might see that use case develop. The fact is stablecoins are mostly used today for trading crypto. Now, if we had a regulatory framework with sufficient protections that people could have confidence that a stablecoin was really worth $1, then we might see people use remittances. And I agree with Mr. Delaponte that the cost of remittances is very, very high, and we should be looking for ways to bring it down. There are other companies trying to bring it down through non-blockchain technologies, and they're making progress in that regard.
Thank you. I yield back.